Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? Tuesday marked the beginning of Saints minicamp, the mandatory minicamp. And, previously it'd been OTAs, which are voluntary. Now it's a 3-day mandatory minicamp, which is open to the media. And Dennis Allen met with reporters. And attendance is always interesting, whether players are there or not. Guys like Marshawn Lattimore and Alvin Kamara, who sat out of OTAs but were present for minicamp. But the one guy who had an excused absence is a guy we've been talking about all offseason, and one that I presume we will continue to talk about all the way up until and through the 2024 season, and that's Ryan Ramczyk. And here was Dennis Allen on Tuesday.
Ryan Ramczyk is excused, and then anybody else you didn't see out here today would be dealing with either an injury or an illness.
So Ramczyk excused, and you better believe that started a line of questioning about Ramczyk and where he is right now. After in this offseason, there was hopefulness around Ramczyk's future, and then we would get reports throughout the rest of the offseason with DA that he wasn't progressing as well as they had liked, and here was the latest there.
I think the plan all along is for him to have been in back home, resting, doing his rehab plan there. We got a plan for him. Certainly, we don't have to make any decisions now, but I haven't seen the progress that I was hoping to see. And so, we just got him at home doing his rehab there.
Haven't seen the progress I was hoping to see. And I understand, there is the part of this conversation that you could have and say, well, what do you want him to say? And sometimes coaches, when it comes to injuries, are coy, and I understand that. I mean, Dennis Allen could have said, listen, this was always the plan for Ryan Ramczyk. We have a plan to go through his rehab at home, and he's resting and getting ready, and when we have an update, we'll share it. Like, that could have been it. But to say you're not seeing the progress you want is candid, and I appreciate the candor. I'm not criticizing that in any way. I appreciate the candor. But it seems like that further validates all of the concern as to whether or not he'll be back. And actually, I think this was Cat Terra, wasn't it, with the back and forth with Dennis Allen? They continued.
I kind of said similar stuff a few months ago about the progress. Like, where is it now? Is it still trending in a negative direction, or?
I would say it's not trending in either direction right now in terms of the progress. So I wouldn't say there's been much change since the last time we discussed it.
I'm not going to sit here and act like that's surprising, because it's not. I want to remind you, Nick Underhill, who's as good as it comes when it comes to the Saints beat, was a guest on OTB. This was back on April the 16th. So this was just before the draft. Remember, when we were having a lot of conversations about what the Saints were going to do, and it seemed like an absolute shoo-in that the Saints were going to take an offensive lineman, but all of the concern around Ramczyk's future really compounded that, made it even more of a necessity instead of just a need. Nick said point blank, and he was guessing. He didn't. This wasn't a report or anything, but certainly Nick has a very educated opinion, very informed opinion. I mean, he said he doesn't think Ramczyk ever plays again.
If he were to spend the season, just say, trying to rehab it, and then next year he retires, just post-June 1st retirement, like, that would be extremely beneficial. They'd be able to spread it out. Then it'd kind of be hitting the cap 2 years from now. And given how they're set up right now and they're structured, that would make a lot of sense. If he were to retire right now, it's a huge hit. And then if he waits until after June 1st, it's like $1 million difference. And it just kind of feels like maybe there's an understanding that this probably isn't going to settle in a way that I just don't see him playing again. I just, like, if I had to bet today, you're asking me to go to draft and place a bet on it. Like, I'm betting on him not playing.
Again, that was Nick Underhill on Off the Bench on April the 16th before the draft, telling you he bets that Ryan Ramczyk will never play again. And maybe for contract purposes, as he explained there, it's beneficial to wait till next year. Maybe it benefits the Saints more so that way. But the intention is, look, we don't think you're going to play, but if something happens and you feel up to it, then fantastic. the thing about Ramczyk is his rookie year back in 2017, he came in and started all 16 games. And it was unexpected. Remember when they took him in round 1, you had Zach Strief as your right tackle. But that was the pick they got in the Brandon Cooks trade. They used it on Ramczyk because they saw great value. Strief got injured, and Ramczyk started every game his rookie season, started all 15 games he played in year 2, started all 16 games in 2019 and 2020, and then the injuries came. Just 10 games in 21. He did play in 16 games in 22, and then last year he missed 5 games playing in just 12. Starting all 12, I mean, he's played 101 career games and started every game that he's played in his career, but what you've seen clearly is in 2 of the last 3 seasons, he's missed 12 games, 13 games in the last 3 seasons. 10, 16, and 12 were his games played the last 3 years after really being an Ironman his first 4 years in his career. So it certainly feels like that's the way that this is trending and this is headed for Ryan Ramczyk, that we've probably seen the last of him in a Saints uniform or in an NFL uniform, which is also why it made drafting Taliesin Fuanga just an absolute must, and the urgency to develop and get something out of Trevor Penning this year a need for this team. Because as you look at their cap situation, it is so imperative. Like the way out of a really tough cap situation, that's what the Saints are in. And they can always restructure deals and move, but it binds you when you do that and restructure deals. It binds you sometimes to aging players that are no longer performing at their value. That's my fear with Derek Carr over the next 2 years. That's why Michael Thomas was untradeable, was because of his contract and other stuff later, but his contract made him untradeable. That's why it's very difficult right now to trade Marshawn Lattimore as well. But the way out of that mess is to hit on your draft picks and to have a bunch of star players on rookie deals. It's how they did it in 2017. When you had that great draft in 2017, Thomas was in the 16 draft, but you followed it up with Ryan Ramczyk and Alvin Kamara and Marcus Williams and Trey Hendrickson, some great players on rookie deals that allowed you to go on that 3 and 4 year run while you had that young, inexpensive nucleus. It's the only way out. You got to start to have these draft picks hit and play at a very high level to get you out of this mess. We'll see if they can do it, but that offensive line is a big part of it, especially now with the uncertainty and seeming growing uncertainty and concern about Ryan Ramczyk's future. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.